Torah and the study of Torah is tough. It's onerous. For some people, the study of Torah might actually be torturous. And it's well understood. I remember as a boy of going off to yeshiva, and a fellow gave me a ride. A fine fellow. He was off to America with his family, going touring. And the day before, he was telling us all the Holiday Inn vouchers. He was going around the States. He was very excited. And he was telling us, you know, guys, I'm out there working in the working world, but if they would give me any money, if they would pay me to go and study Torah all day, I just don't think I could do it. You know, I envy you guys going to study. You know, we went to in the yeshiva, we studied till 1 o'clock in the morning, was Hebrew studies. I just don't think I could do it. Religious fellow. But, you know, and, you know, you're right. It's just very, very hard. It's distant. It's so hard. It becomes, you know, if something is entertaining, it's exciting, it's stimulating. Okay, obviously we understand. But even menial tasks like doing gardening, like going to work and pushing numbers and papers and meetings and getting frustrated with clients, all of that is 100 times easier than actually studying Gemara, studying Torah. And yet, the strange thing is that the pasuk that King David says, this is the greatest delight in the world. Lulei seiroscha sha'ashuai, if not for the Torah that is your delight, Oz avaditi bani, I would absolutely wither and wilt away. I would die in my poverty. This is the greatest delight. It's minoifes suf. It is sweeter than honey. Mesukim midvash v'noifes sufim. It is delightful. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. Show me the goods. Come on. I'm plugging away over here. Nothing seems to make much sense. Not only it doesn't make much sense, but it's actually so distant from my reality. You know, for some reason in the yeshivas, all they talk about all day is the Gemara. They don't learn much Chumash or much, some stuff, maybe Navi would be a little bit interesting. Instead, all day they've got the nose in the Gemara. And the Gemara is just so distant from our world. Reuven's ox came out and it gored another ox. Okay, let's analyze. Where, how, what, where, when. Give me a break, please. There was a chicken that gave birth to an egg. And it was before Yom Tov. What do we do with the egg? The bird was 1 foot in the tchum and 1 foot out the tchum. Is it muksa? Is it not muksa? Leave me alone. Give me a break. That's the small stuff. Once we sweat the real nitty-gritty small stuff, it becomes so arcane, so distant from our reality. Like, who cares? Abaye says this and Rava says that, and they get into this whole argument and pages. I've got to get into their whole mindset, and the whole thing just doesn't seem to make much sense. And yet in yeshivas, that's what they're busy with all day. You know, we have parents come here to the yeshiva all the time, and they say, listen, I respect my son studying Judaic studies and philosophy and everything else, but bottom line, what's he going to come out with? Is this a BTL, a BA? Where can we use it? What's your degree and accreditation? How's this going to service him down the road? Is he going to become a rabbi? Not the greatest livelihood. I think even as a social worker, you might do a little bit better. There's a little bit more, in social work, a little bit more room for expansion than a rabbi where you're dependent on the board and, you know, it's a little cheesy. A little greasy being a rabbi. But you know what? I've got a son, a rabbi. It's also something. Tell me, is he going to become a rabbi? No, he's just brushing up his Jewish skills, catching up a little bit. He's going to spend a couple of years learning Talmud. The only consoling factor to these people about the study of Talmud is after they've studied up, then they read a little bit, and maybe they wax a little nostalgic with some of Bialik's writings about the base medrashes. Well, maybe that sort of stretches the Jewish mind. He has a more legalistic mindset, and maybe he'll be a better professional down the road. But it has no value and meaning to itself. It's all about bottom line. I was just glancing this morning at I was just glancing through an article, and it had at the end of the article a story about Rabbi Chaim Kreiswirth. Rabbi Chaim Kreiswirth was a genius, an absolute tremendous person. He was the rabbi in Antwerp, but first he lived in the States, and he came from Eastern Europe. And when he came here and he wanted to gain citizenship, the judge was so astonished at his greatness. He was a distinguished person. He was a great person. He could rattle off anywhere anywhere in the Talmud. The Sifri Sifra, ask him how many times is Rav Papa written in the Talmud. His brain would scan in 3 seconds. He would tell you 1,261. Could you tell me the 15th time? Rav Papa, he would quote. He had a very distinctive voice. He would quote just verbatim whatever he wanted. But the judge was so amazed by him. The judge forwent, said, "You don't have to go through the citizenship test, and we don't have to obviously everything. But tell me, what are your impressions of America?" So he said to him, he's a brilliant man. He had flawless English. He was just pretty much got off the boat. But he said to the judge, he said, I'm very impressed with America because on the currency it says, "In God we trust." The only problem I have is that many Americans think that the dollar is God itself. It's pretty sharp. Yeah, the judge smiled, I'm sure. But that's so true. The be-all, is-all, and end-all is what's in it for me. Well, how are we going to use this? And when we learn Gemara, it's just like, what in the world is this about? What's it going to add to me? Where's it going to benefit me? And how does it relate to me? I know, some of the laws with the ox scoring another ox. Well, maybe my car and bumps into his car, and maybe we can extrapolate maybe some laws. But you know what? Leave it to the rabbis. Give me a break. I want to go on vacation. I don't even mind working. But this stuff is heavy-duty stuff. How does it relate to me? It's a question we all grapple with. But great people sensed in Torah the most amazing delight. It was everything. And somewhere, welcome aboard, Mrs. Levy. You're welcome to join the class.
When you're finishing?
We're still saying Kaddish, but I'm finishing in about half an hour.
Okay, so I pray.
My pleasure. There's this story of a fellow who came in. He was a very big diamond merchant, and he was traveling a lot. And when you travel, it sounds glamorous. Jet setting is out. The guy's busy from one meeting to the other, going out to Hong Kong, flying, he doing this, doing that, running around. I know a fellow. He must rack up, hundreds of thousands of miles a year. He lectures in different universities all over the world. A big economist. And his life is miserable. He's always living out of a briefcase and a suitcase. And it looks so great. He comes on the plane, they take off his jacket, business class, first class, he sits down, he has his books, his papers, his TV screen. It's not a life. He's always on the move. And it has the illusion of the good life. And there was one such fellow that came into the rabbi in Eastern Europe, was always traveling, and he came into the rabbi of the town. He was passing through the Lomz, and he came into the Lomz Rav. had a question that he needed to ask him. And he walks up the stairs into the Rav's apartment, and the Rav is sitting at a big wooden table with a tablecloth, and there's a glass of tea and a big Gemara with some Sfarim on the table. The whole room is lined with bookcases, and the Rav is sitting there, long beard, and he's immersed in the Gemara. And he stood at the side, and he just looked at the scene, and he drank it in. And then the Rav saw him and said, sit down, please, tell me you're here. What are you here for? He said, Rav, I'll tell you what I'm here for, but before I tell you what I'm here for, let me just share with you some of my feelings. He said, Rav, it's not fair. He said, I am running around all day, all night. I'm going from place to place. I'm meeting very boutique jewelry shops, selling them my diamonds. I'm making a lot of money, but I don't have this world and I don't have the next world. I don't really have time for ruchnias. And this world ain't so great because I'm always on the move. I never sit back. I said, it's not fair. He said, you sitting here at this table, you have Olam Haba and you have Olam Haza. This is beautiful. You're just so serene, sitting and studying. And the Rav said to him, it's very simple. Just wind up the business, sell some of the assets. You build a room like mine with Sfarim, and you could also sit and learn. Not so easy. We're not ready for it. Just not ready for it. But great people experience a delight opening up a Gemara. Did I tell you once the story? There was a Jew, there was Rav Shach in Israel, the great Rosh Hashiva of Panovich, and he was he's so delighted in every little piece of Gemara. He was it was like a kid in candy world in going into the store. At the end of his life, the last years of his life, he wasn't able to read. He didn't have, was a poor eyesight, but he wasn't able to read at all. And a student used to come into his apartment and read the Gemara. And he would mumble with it because he remembered pretty much verbatim. And that way he would learn. He would have students coming in all the time in shifts from the yeshiva. They would learn the Gemara, they would learn Mishnayos, they would learn different things with him, different Gemaras. One student was studying with him the Gemara in Zvachim. And came in and he was going through the Gemara, whatever it was, Samach Gimel, Samach Daled. And as they're learning the Gemara, Rav Shach is listening and saying over the words with him and saying over the Tosfos, a little bit the Rishonim from memory. And then he said, on this Tosfos, I had a question. It's been bothering me since I was a yeshiva bacha. I never got the answer to this question. It bothers me so much. It was almost like he was in pain that he's so old and he's leaving this world and he'll never be able to resolve this question on this Tosfos. It bothered him so much. And he explained the question on the Tosfos. They went through the Tosfos and Rav Shach told him his question. His question was like, whoa, this is like a brick wall. What was Tosfos thinking? I mean, how could Tosfos say this? And the Bacha saw that Rav Shach was in such pain because he didn't know the answer. The Bacha was determined he's going to come back and he's going to find the answer. He's going to figure it out. He's going to come back with the answer. He worked the whole night and he worked through the whole sugya back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The next day he slept for a few hours and again he went back to the sugya and he reconstructed the sugya and he studied the Rambam and he saw a little bit of a different pathway through the whole sugya, and based on a tiny little twist he realized Tosfos' question made all the sense in the world. Tosfos saw the Gemara a little bit from a different perspective. He was so excited. He saw now he had an answer to Rav Shach's question. He didn't wait for his next appointment with Rav Shach, which was the next day. He went straight to Rav Shach and he knocked on the apartment. Rav Shach was sitting there with someone else and he said, Rosh Hashiva, he said, I have an answer to your question. And the Rosh Hashiva recognized his voice. And he said, the Tosfos in Zvachim, Samach Daled. He said, yes. And Rav Shach said, please, tell me the answer. He was like sitting at the edge of his chair, listening. And the Bacha reconstructed the sugya and the question and the answer was entirely different strain, and then he explained what Tosfos was asking. Rav Shach's eyes just lit up. He jumped out of his chair and he said, Yeah, what can I give you? What can I give you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. He put his hands in his pockets. He didn't have a bank account. He had whatever he needed. The yeshiva gave him. He took out from his pocket a few hundred shekel, all the money that he had. He put it on the table. He said, "Here, take this, please. It's everything I have. I don't know what to give you. Please take it." To him, it was the greatest delight. He had an answer in a question, and some obscure Tosfos and Zvachim, whatever. See, to us, we envy. We like the guy coming into the rabbi. We have a strain of envy, perhaps. It would be nice. We can wax nostalgic about it, like the Bialiks and Kafkas of the world. But it's not our world. In reality, we're standing a little outside. You could tell me all the beauty and delights of Torah. It's nechmadim mizav mipasraf, but how do we relate to it? It has no bearing to us, at least when we're learning Chumash. Okay, I hear the instruction manual, I'm reading the Shira, it's a little got historical narrative and perspective, something I can glean and gain from it. I hear Dvar Torah, it's nice, a thought. But Gemara? Give me a break. And I'm not too good at the Hebrew and the vocabulary, and I'm struggling, like the concepts, like it's just so distant from my radar screen. Let me tell you that the Mishnah tells us there are many mitzvahs that we can do in this world. The Mishnah in Peah tells us, we say it every morning, many great mitzvahs that we are enjoined to do. These are the mitzvahs that if we do them, we eat the fruit in this world and the dividends in this world, but the actual Keren, the most important part of it, the main body of the mitzvah, the reward, is reserved for the next world, and that won't be diminished. And those are honoring one's parents, doing kind deeds, getting up early in the morning to pray, welcoming guests, visiting the sick. All of these we can relate to. Helping a bride and groom get married when they can't afford it, accompanying the dead on their last journey, iyun tefillah, connecting to prayer, giving sharing goodwill between man and his fellow man, bringing peace, havas shalom ben adam l'chaver. All of these we can relate to. But then the Mishnah says, v'salmud Torah, and the study of Torah, kineged kulam, corresponds to all of them. So we see the study of Torah is not just another mitzvah. It is actually the mitzvah that incorporates it all and is above all the other mitzvahs. All the other mitzvahs, put them all in a pot. Put them all on one side of the scale. The study of Torah outweighs it all. Just so not a student. So don't like to be bound to my chair and sit and learn. Yeshiva is called a yeshiva because it's a place where we sit. We have to sit. Today we're all ADD. We're all ready. We're on the move. Sitting means I'm duty bound. There's a certain responsibility. I have to focus. And focusing is very hard. We don't like to focus. We like to be free. We need to have everything at our fingertips. I just want to move over here, this channel, that. I want to just check at the same time while I'm enjoying the game. I just want to check the news, the scores. Yeah, okay. I am all over the place. To study requires a level of assiduous study. I have to sit and block everything out. It's hard. Talmud Torah kineged kulam, and yet the reward for the study of Torah surpasses everything else. It is, if you put everything together, kineged kulam, it's more than all of them. Why? I don't like to hear that. I don't mind being a Hatzalah member. I don't mind helping, certainly damsels in distress, but I'll do anybody in distress. But the study of Torah just doesn't resonate. Let me share with you really what it's about and why the mitzvah of Torah surpasses everything else. And actually, if we can get into it and break that barrier, that sound barrier, that space barrier, we can actually float in a different domain altogether without the gravitational forces that pull us down and distract and detract from our delight in Torah. And I'll show you with you what it really is. What's the greatest delight? We spoke about this a week or two ago. What's the greatest delight we humans experience down here in this world? I'm sorry? Ben and Jerry's? Pecan double with, you like it with the crushed pecans or the sprinkles?
Cotton candy, Rockland kosher, that's what there's a cotton candy flavor.
Okay, you're an easy customer. Anyone a little more sophisticated? What's the greatest delight, Josh, that we can have here in this world? Josh got it. That's right. It's connection. There's nothing more real delightful. We put up so many walls because we're so afraid to connect, and it's so difficult to connect, and we have to make ourselves vulnerable. And who knows what. But the greatest delight of all is connection.
That's my first answer.
That's right. Real connection. Physical connection, we enjoy camaraderie, hiking together, fishing, playing golf. People can enjoy all kinds of shared activities, but that's really an external echo of true connection. True connection, even physical intimacy, it's all as valuable and as meaningful as there is a connectivity of the mind. We are understood, we are embraced, we are appreciated, we are respected. We can be understood in a non-judgmental way. We hate, we detest criticism, even subtle subconscious rejection, because it distances us. It's painful. We want to feel connected. We do a lot of things that distance us from one another because we want to be free and independent. We're not ready to pay the price of connection. The price of connection is perhaps surrendering the I and connecting to the other, and thereby complying with what they need, what they want, what they're thinking, what their expectations are to a degree, communicating, getting a better understanding of what they are and who they want and what they want, so that we can service them to the best of our ability, we can understand and be understood. But the greatest delight of all is a connection of the mind. Because when my mind locks into your mind, and I understand you at the source and at the core, there is shalom, there is shlemus, there is wholesomeness. We feel it in the most delightful way, if you will, with the opposite sex. That's the reality. Guys, guys and guys hustling around, horsing around, we always have a sense, two guys always have a sense of, there's an element of competition. There's an element of, we put a shield around ourselves to protect ourselves. The schoolyard is a bully yard on some level, on a deeper level. But the other side of myself, the other side of every neshama, there's a predetermined and predestined b'sheret, because there's a complement that is found in opposites. There's a sense of unity and connectivity. There is something that is deeply satisfying. It can be very deeply dangerous too. Don't wander into foreign waters, because you could get sucked into all kinds of tricky situations where one goes overboard and downhill. Before very long, one finds oneself over on the other side of the reservation. That is very dangerous, because the body follows the mind very fast. That's why we have to put walls. It's treasured, it's sacred. And that connection and intercourse of the mind in its fullest sense demands surrendering and connectivity that flows. The connection flows from the mind to the body. It has to be real and preordained and proper. But put that aside. Connection of the mind is what makes a real, delightful, proper, full-bodied connection. Everything else is artificial compared to that. How do I understand someone else's mind? I have to divest myself from self. See, I have certain opinions, values, that are integral to who I am. Some of them are values that are in the genes. Some of them are values I was conditioned with as a child from my parents. Some of them are the values that I have accumulated in my life journey, and they all become a mindset and an integral part of who I am. For me to understand you and connect to you and really penetrate to the innermost connection of who you are, I have to let go of who I am to connect to you. That's why Hashem makes men and women so different. Guy comes home from a hard day's work. It's really been a tough day in the office. And he's struggling. Sometimes a guy can be in a job, he could be earning $150,000. After he pays his taxes, it's $120,000. Sounds like a nice salary, doesn't it? Wait till you start paying your mortgage, paying some school fees, getting the kids off to camp, paying for home help. He's stretched. The credit cards are stretched and maxed. Every month it's a struggle just to pay the leases on the cars. It's no good. Life is tough, and he's working so hard. And he comes home from a hard day's work. Pulls into the driveway. His wife's car isn't there. He's looking forward to the table being laid. Supper on the table. Maybe she made his favorite schnitzel. Who knows what? Nothing. He sees the light in the kitchen is out. Okay. Comes in the house, puts on the lights. It's hot. He has to put in the air conditioning. Throws off his jacket, bracing himself, okay. Calls his wife on the cell phone. Honey, don't worry, I'm just coming in. I'll be there in a minute. I'm just pulling up the road. She dances out of her car with 4 bags from the back. 2 from Neiman Marcus and 2 from Bloomingdale's. Do this. She's busy with herself the whole time. She just doesn't get it. She comes in the door. Honey, there's a big sale. We're just after the Thanksgiving sale, and I still got some real bargains. You're going to be so delighted. And she pulls out of her bag these blue patent leather shoes. This is going to be for Yitzi's wedding. How do you like the buckle? Do you think the buckle matches the buckle on the dress? And she's so excited. She's so busy with the shoes. What credit card did you put this on? What? Can you return this? Can you return this? Can you return this? What does he have to do? Look at it and think and say, wow. That buckle is a little bit more square. This is a little round. It's not perfect, but you know what? It actually complements one another because they both have that same sheen. It's really, really nice. Wow, honey, it suits you. It's good. It's a good buy. How much do you pay for it? Half price? What a bargain. That is so beautiful. I'm so happy you're going to have those shoes for the wedding. That's great. Wonderful. Yeah, don't worry about supper. Don't worry. It's okay. We can go. We'll get something. We'll make something. Just being with you is great. Hello. What does that take? Superhuman energy. Put aside the I, the whole ego, everything. It's above seichel. But what does it create? Harmony, connectivity. The more distant it is from his world and from his expectation, from his need, he needs to penetrate his wife's mind and understand it. For me is one of the hardest things. I said Moshe knows one of my hardest challenges. Slow driving. My wife likes it when we drive. She allows me to go 10 miles above the speed limit. On the Palisades, it's posted at 50. I like pedal to the metal. Got Waze just to check if there's any police car. I used to have a very sophisticated radar. Pedal to the metal. Free. Turbocharge it. I feel like an old age pension at the wheel there. What does it make? I've surrendered self. I'm in her mind. I'm in her space. She's understood. She's understood. That makes connection, because it's not about me. It's about me understanding your needs, your wants, your desires, your mind. That makes a relationship. That makes us really one. She understands that she is me. And I can surrender everything, put it all aside for her. I'll tell you the greatness, the greatest day in world history was the day of the divine revelation at Sinai. The entire world was waiting for that moment. When the heavens opened up and God gave us, his chosen people, an opportunity and an ability to bond with him in the most intimate way. He revealed to us, so to speak. He gave us a portal, an opening to be able to penetrate and understand, so to speak, his mind, his purpose for creation, and all its various components in its intricate detail. And we can delve into Torah and thereby connect to Hashem's infinite being. Kudsha berichu v'oiraisa v'Yisrael chadhu. Hashem, the Torah, and the Jewish people are one. It gives us an ability to be intimate with the divine. The more distant it is from our reality, the more it doesn't relate to us. You see, all these mitzvahs, welcoming guests, visiting the sick, taking care of the bride, the poor, accompanying the dead, all of these register logically, and there's an element almost of satisfaction and soul inspiration by doing something meaningful, by helping people that need, by reaching out to people that otherwise would be looked over and ignored, by taking care of a certain segment of the population, maybe older people, maybe people that other people aren't looking at. It actually tickles the soul. Driving on the highway at 50 doesn't, but that makes the connection. And when it makes the connection, then it's wondrous. Sitting down and studying Torah and delving into this letter in the Torah, did God mean this? Did God mean that? Gzeira Sava, oi, and then this extra word here and an extra word there. There are 13 ways through which the Torah, the oral law, allows us to access what does God want with that word. What does he really want in such a situation? How does he want us to be kovei the tchum of Shabbos? Is it this? Is it that? What happens if we do it like this, we do it like that? It's so distant. It doesn't matter if it's distant from me. It's not about me, and it's not about it having, the less it has any practical application to my bottom line, the more valuable it is. Because I'm ascertaining, what do you want, Hashem? What's in your mind? How do you want this world to be conducted? And when I'm engaged in that gear, I'm intimate with him in the most delightful, deepest, and real way. And that's why the Talmud Torah, the study of Torah, kineged kulam. And when we engage it with that mindset, you see, the problem is we get involved in all about how we feel. It's so hard pulling us to the Beis Medrash, and I feel anyway God is so distant from me, and probably doesn't like me, because I don't like myself. Bad news. Bad news. I'm not in it. But I want to be in the marriage. I want to be in it with 2 feet. And the best way to do it, the most real way to do it, is get to know. What's the dating all about? What's dating all about? It's about getting to know the other. Understanding the other. Opening the door for the other. Being there for the other. So that we can understand the other. So that we can click. And when we click, Romance is in the air. It's delightful. Those that make that click in Torah are living in a different domain, in a different zone. It's so exciting. The challenge is to commit. Let's leave it here, Rabbi Sai. Some food for thought. A little bit to put in the pipe and smoke and enjoy. And we will continue onwards bound in Yetz Hashem tomorrow as we put the final flourish to our symphony of a semester. And we see what we can talk about tomorrow. To bring it all together, tie the knots, and move on through the Bein Hazmanim in preparation for the High Holy Days. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos!